This is WBSM On Demand.
The mayor's just shrugging his shoulders and not adding anything to my over-the-top comments.
Just in a festive holiday mood right now, Chris.
Thanksgiving. You go out of town.
I do. I go to my father-in-law's in Long Island. And what's awesome about it is, it's a good family get-together on my wife Ann's side. She's got there's six kids in her family, and they all have lots of kids and stuff, so all the kids are running around. But the best part is for 2 days out of the entire year, Chris, I have no responsibility. I don't.
Can you turn that off mentally?
No, but I get as close to on Thanksgiving to turning it off at any point in the year.
Right.
Yeah. I don't take a lot of vacation, right?
No, I know that. I know that.
In fact, I don't think I've ever taken more than 2 weeks in any year since I've been in office in the last 13 years, and a couple of years it took none. But when I go to those 2 days on Thanksgiving, I just watch football and consume.
You deserve it. Everybody does. Really, it's a great American holiday. You don't play golf, do you?
I started playing golf in the last year. I played a little bit when I was right after I got out of college. I tried to pick it up, but I just didn't really get totally into it and really take lessons. I started about a year and a half ago to play a little bit, and with the kids out of the house now, it freed up a little bit of time for me, and so I joined the Whale. So people see me over at the Whale, hitting the ball sideways from the driving range. But it's so I've taken it up a little bit. It's a time-consuming sport. You can't get good at golf if you don't have a lot of time. Right. So, and I don't. So, I don't know. I'm trying. What I'm trying to achieve is competence. I want to reach a level.
It's not enjoyable if you're not good at
winning tournaments or anything like that. I want to be able to go out when time allows and just play and be competitive.
Sure.
And with other people who are hitting the ball sideways. So that's if I can get there, Chris, I'll be pleased.
So you'll be out of town for Thanksgiving. What do you do for Christmas?
Usually just around here.
You stay here
at home. Yeah. Yep. Yeah. I don't do any cooking, Chris. In case you're wondering, if that was your next question, no, I don't cook.
Well, I know you don't bring donuts.
I just eat. Yeah.
You disappointed my poor intern. I promised her donuts. The chief disappointed. The mayor disappointed.
Yeah.
It's just poor Mari.
We all have to work on something, right?
For next year. For next year. Mari, you won't be here next year, though, will you? No. So you'll be a listener, though, by then. She's like, right.
Let's hope so.
That's how I build my audience. One intern at a time.
One intern at a time. Tell all your friends to tune. Do your friends tune in, Amari, to WBSM? She says no.
I don't. I believe her. Chris
is not giving you a microphone for the show, but I think he should, just so you can spot him on.
I'm not sure if her parents signed the waiver.
Oh,
that's what it comes down to.
Okay.
I can turn my mic up, but it might have feedback. We can pick our voice up, though. But you and I just taking her answer and repeating it on the air.
Okay. All right. Well,
Mari, you'll be a listener now, daily listener, right? Yes, Chris.
She's nodding her. Yes, Chris, I will.
But she's
a
at least
devoted
laughing.
listener.
At least she's
I might
laughing.
even become a frequent caller, I think I heard her say.
She might call up.
We're giving her a hard time. This isn't your first day on your internship, is it?
It is.
It is.
This is her first day, and we're giving her such a hard time. Is this okay?
But it's fun. It's fun. She got to meet the mayor.
All right.
She got to meet the chief, and she got to, best of all, meet Tim.
Yeah.
So Mayor. I guess you are the chief. Mayor, how's the chief doing?
I think the chief's doing well. You guys caught a little bit of the show in the last hour, and you guys covered a lot of good grounds. But as I've said before, it's the progress the city's made in tamping down on both violent crime and property crime speaks for itself, and there are lots of reasons why crime might fall in any given place, but it's always one of the reasons is the performance of the police department. Crime will not fall if the police department's not doing its job well, and They do it well here, and Chief Oliver has been in place for a number of years now. He was deputy chief before then, and there's been a steady commitment to improvement. A lot of and I think what's noteworthy is that in the last couple of years we went out. Even though we could have rested on our laurels and continued to ride the wave of declining crime rates in the city, we went out and had brought in one of the leading experts in policing in America, Bob Wasserman, to take a look under the hood to see how we can get better in the long run still. And there were some 89 recommendations, and about 75% of them have already been implemented, and they're working on implementing the rest. And I think it's the exercise, I think, was based on a recognition that you really can't rest on your laurels. Crime can rise or fall, but in the long run, you need to sustain the ability to get out ahead of criminal behavior and to deal with it in a way that engenders trust with the people you serve, and that's what they've been doing. And it's policing these days in America is not easy for lots of reasons, but we do it pretty well here in New Bedford.
It looks like he put a pretty good dent in the manpower issue, but with recruiting, he's talking about some big classes coming in. That's a big feather.
Yeah, very sure. We have 7 coming out now, and out of the academy, and we'll have another 24 or so in the pipeline. I think that was the number, but I think we'll put a dent in that. And look, I don't think we will get back up to the numbers where we were like 10 years ago in the 260s. Okay. 268, I think we topped out at. I don't think we need to now because I think we do things a lot more efficiently now, and I think the profile of public safety, of threats in the city has changed a lot. So you don't think we need to have 268 officers. We need more than we have now, though, and that's being addressed.
Chief, before we start taking phone calls,
still call me Chief.
I'm sorry.
Everybody on the other end heard that, Chris.
Now that could be your nickname by the end of the program if I don't knock it off.
El Jefe.
A lot of people would understand that now in the city. So, Mayor Mitchell, you had some reasonable, good government reforms. There's the succession plan and the recall. The city council finally took them up last week. I guess. Your thoughts?
Well, the succession issue, as we've talked about before, that measure was simply a housekeeping matter. There need to be a phrase changed in it to reflect that the city had gone from a 2-year to a 4-year mayoral term. That was uncontroversial, right? It was just a matter of clarifying the language. Of something that was already on the books. The recall provision, look, it's the city council did not advance it, and they debated it a couple of times after I filed it back in January, so it's been in front of them for nearly a year now, and there's no self-interest behind it. I filed the thing because I thought the city needed it. It would apply to me. So if somebody wanted to go ahead and start a recall provision to remove me from office, they could do that under this measure that I proposed.
Yeah, you have no fear.
Well, no, I'm confident that's not going to happen.
Exactly.
But this is really, for me, to my mind, this is a good government measure. It should apply to everybody. There are rare circumstances in which the recalling of an elected official is necessary and appropriate, and we've seen it play out in other cities. And if there isn't a mechanism like that's analogous to the impeachment mechanism in the federal Constitution, then you can get stuck with folks who are behaving in a criminal way or abusing power of the office or both, and there's nothing you can do about it. There are plenty of examples where that's happened, and so I don't quite. I think the councilors have to explain themselves on this. They killed this thing, and it's really a head scratcher. It's not any. I'm more frankly as mayor. for the city, I'm for myself, it's like neither here nor there. It's like, but for me as mayor, for me as a resident of the city, I think it's really necessary, and not just to apply to the mayor, but to apply to every elected office holder. And so I don't know. I think everybody should be very concerned about whether the city council is receptive to good government measures like this. It made all the sense in the world. It had been proposed by one of their and supported by two of their colleagues, councilors Scott Lima and Brad Markey, last term. Both of them neither of them are in office still, and so unfortunately we didn't have their support in the council. That didn't happen because they're not there now. But I don't quite understand it.
I mean, Brad Markey was succeeded by Leo Choquette. Leo Choquette said he didn't mind lowering the signature requirements. In other words, he's confident, like yourself. He's doing his job. Doesn't think he's in danger of being recalled. And it's a 2-year term.
It would be practically difficult to recall a city council because the terms are only 2 years.
Right.
And there were the provision that we wrote, and we did a lot of homework on this, but the provision that among other terms, an elected official under the proposal could not be recalled in the first 6 months of office, right? Like on the heels of an election, or in the last 6 months of the term, right? As an election was coming up anyway, which the elected official would be held to account. So in a 2-year term, if you're losing the 6 months on either side, you only have a year within which the whole process can proceed, and so that would make it difficult for any city councilor, except in the most extraordinary circumstances, to be kicked out of office. So I'm not sure what the councilors were afraid of here. We also we had put signature limits or requirements in there that were above average for Massachusetts. Right? So it's not like the threshold was low. So I don't know what they're afraid of. I really don't.
The optics are very bad for the city council. The reality is very bad because, as you and I have talked about week after week, what do they know about themselves that they think the public would be so outraged about that would trigger the incredible effort it would take by a couple of individuals to go out and do all this grassroots work? What do they know that we don't know? It's rhetorical, but what are they afraid of that we, the public, are going to find out about them and then recall them?
Yeah, I mean, I take your question as rhetorical because I have no idea, but
right.
I don't understand it. I really don't understand why. I mean, there are certain councilors who will reflexively object to anything that I propose. So if it was somebody else proposing it, maybe they'd say, well, it's not a bad idea, right? But it's coming from me.
Right.
It's, I could be proposing more motherhood and apple pie, and they would be like, no, let's not from that guy. So there's an element of that. There's an element of, shooting the messenger, but at the end of the day, they report. They're responsible for the operation of city government, and they owe their duty back to the residents of the city, and so it's really what's in the city's long-term interest, and I think they failed to discharge that duty with this particular measure. I just think they all have, I'm sure some of them are going to be in here at some point. They have to answer. Well, other cities have recall provisions. In fact, last we checked, most of them do. Mm-hmm. New Bedford's kind of an exception to that. Like, so why the resistance here?
Right. But the what I don't think they are comprehending, this is going to cause, I would think, a much bigger reaction. Is it time to replace some of those counselors? Because they got an election coming up. You don't. Is it reasonable because they are holding a major Democratic check off the table for their own private interests?
Yeah. Well, look, there is an election coming up, and I presume that they'll all be running for re-election, and I would imagine that this is going to come up.
We're going to make sure of it.
Well, it sounds like you are.
Here, because I can envision.
And frankly, I don't blame it. I don't understand. It wasn't like, well, one of them, the mayor's getting something out. No, the mayor's not getting out. I would, if anything, it's not in my enlightened, in my narrow, expedient political interest to propose something that could result, in theory, in my getting kicked out of office. Right? I'm proposing the recall provision, and it would apply to me.
Right. With the focus, because of the time limits, on the mayor's office.
Yeah.
Yet these small-minded people are going, well, it might impact my pension, and my health care. And I might have, well, what did you do, sir or madam, right? What did you do that we don't know about that's keeping you so paranoid, in my opinion?
Well, the other dimension to this, it doesn't make sense at all. And the thing that bothers me, but maybe there's a future city council that will take it up. But I can hope for that, right? And we can all insist on it, and especially during election season. But what troubles me about this is that a vote like this, which makes no sense, right? It can't be explained by, a competing policy positions. It's the kind of thing that just intensifies cynicism about government.
Yep.
Like, how do you engender trust with the electorate when you can't even adopt a measure that virtually every other city has in some form, and that holds elected officials accountable? It's just that people are listening to this conversation and saying, this confirms that they're all for themselves,
right?
And that mindset tends to smear everybody who's in elected office. Like, I do my job because not to go out and make money, not to go out and sort of for the glamour of it all, whatever. It's I care about my city and do the best I can, and I hope that people would understand that, see it that way. But like, when stuff like this happens, it sets everybody back.
Yeah, the idea that it's outrageous. We've gone a little long, Mayor. We're going to take a break, folks. Stick around. We'll be right. If you want to speak with the mayor, you can at 508-996-0500. Love to hear how people feel about this recall as well. But stick around. We'll take a very quick break. We'll be right back. Of the morning. You may just sit here the rest of the morning, Mayor, listening to Pink Floyd. We have the mayor of New Bedford here in the studio. Just recently returned from meeting with Transportation Secretary, Cabinet Secretary, Transportation Secretary Pete Buttigieg. Can you tell us about it, Mayor?
Well, I was down there, down in D.C. last week for a number of things. Some of them related to this group I belong to called the New Deal Democrats, which are sort of the offshoot of the third way, the moderate Democrats from the 1990s. And so, they style themselves as a group of pro-business Democrats, which I consider myself to be. So I've got, it's really very useful to go there. It's some interesting presentations about post-election polling that showed where the country is. I'll send you the polls so you have that. But when I'm down in D.C., I try to grab as many meetings as possible. So one meeting with Secretary Buttigieg, whom I have known for many years.
Yeah, explain that.
When he was Mayor Buttigieg of South Bend, Indiana, which is the almost identical size of New Bedford. In fact, him calling me up and said, "Hey, what can you tell me about Ron Teachman?" Right. Our former chief, whom he hired as police chief, and it seems like a long time ago. I guess it was now, but I've known him for a long time, and I think I've had a good friendship with him, and I think that friendship, frankly, has helped us when it comes to getting grants and such.
Sure.
Right? He knows New Bedford, knows what we're up to, and knows that we're the biggest fishing port in America, knows what we're doing with offshore wind and lots of other stuff. And so having that, and so I on that occasion last week, I talked to him a little bit about the grant that he gave us for Leonard's Wharf, a $25 million grant on a project that is going to be going out to bid in a couple weeks.
Okay.
Which is really exciting. So that'll, I think we've discussed before, Leonard's Wharf will be entirely rebuilt and extended 150 feet into the harbor, all the way up to the state harbor line. So that's exciting. I also had some meetings with folks like Bob Van Ass and folks at the Fisheries Survival Fund about sort of this state of play in the scallop industry and what we can be doing. There's some hearings coming up. I think next week or the week after, I forget. But the fisheries at the Fisheries Management Council concerning what are called access trips. The scallopers are limited to so many trips a year into the access areas to fish for scallops. And so if people are listening to this, if you work on a scalloper or your family member does, or if you certainly own a boat, you may want to go to that hearing. It's in Newport.
Okay.
As a heads up, but we're trying to figure out how we can support the interests of scallopers here when that comes up. And a handful of other meetings. I met with Congressman Keating to talk about a few things while I was down there. So good, efficient trip.
It's important to be part of those organizations, right?
You have to pick your spots. I mean, I can't be traveling all the time. But I think it's helped us. It's helped me be a better mayor because I can bounce stuff off of people. You listen to how others are doing their jobs.
Sure.
So there's that, and we've been able to import some ideas. I think we've been able, those connections have enabled us to get grants like the huge one that we got for Leonard's Wharf, but there's lots of other smaller ones. And the other thing is, this is especially the case with the work that we do with some of Mike Bloomberg's organizations. They've spent a lot of money on us for all manner of training, executive training in human resources, training on infrastructure, and I've never really added it up, but it's probably in the hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Really?
For nothing. They pay for my travel. I was selected to be part of what's called the Bloomberg Harvard program, which is they pick about 10 mayors a year from around the world to be part of this program, and then they give it's like sort of a senior what they generally refer to as senior mid-career executive program. So it's like going back to business school. We did that a couple of summers ago, but there's been follow-up training along the way, not just for me, but for staff, for a number of our department heads, and a number of them have gone up to the Kennedy School at Harvard for the training, and it's very valuable and frankly expensive training that we don't pay a dime for.
Right.
So that's been very, very helpful to us.
We have,
and it wouldn't happen if I wasn't involved in it.
I have some people on hold, Mayor. Yep. We're going to move some. Let's move some phone calls. Good morning. Thank you for holding. You're live on the air with the Mayor, John Mitchell.
Good morning, Chris. I have a question for Mayor Mitchell.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, about the illegal immigrant situation here in the city. I understand some of our local officials will not cooperate, or believe they will not cooperate with the agents coming in, if they come. I believe they will. What is your stand on that? And will you advise the city police to cooperate with any federal agents?
Well, we talked about this last week. I think the chief talked about it in the last hour. I mean, it's nothing. We haven't changed our approach to anything. If somebody commits a crime, we hold them accountable. And if that person goes in front of the judge and it turns out that person doesn't have immigration status in the U.S., then it's left up to the court to deal with them. It's not like we can look the other way if the person commits a crime. The person is not a U.S. citizen. So we're not doing anything different than we did 2 years ago or 5 years ago.
Well, you don't believe in the governor's stance. You don't take her position.
Well, I'm not exactly sure what her position is, but I can tell you the position of the city, which is it's for us. We're just doing what we've done before, which is you commit a crime, we lock you up.
Well, I believe she said she wants to protect. She considers them residents, and she says she will protect her residents.
I can't. So I don't know exactly what her position is, and maybe people have been talking about it on the radio. All I can tell you is what we do here in the city, which is someone commits a crime, we try to lock them up.
You don't watch MSNBC?
No, I actually don't. No, no. I don't watch a lot of TV. I mean, I just watch.
You're out there golfing.
I can't golf.
It's like Eisenhower.
No. I read. So I get most of my news from the newspapers.
Thank you for the call, my friend.
Newspapers I get the paper version of the Wall Street Journal and the Boston Globe and the Standard Times, and I get the online version of the New York Times. Those are the places where I get my news.
What do you prefer? I prefer a paper copy. I mean, online is easy, but I find I read more or I miss less in the paper copy than the online because I got to go to each individual story.
Yeah, look, and it's more expensive, right? But it's I like opening up the newspaper.
Right.
It's like unwrapping a Christmas present every morning. It's like, oh, what am I going to see today?
Right,
yeah.
Right. No, I agree with you. Go like, I'm going to be
kind
smarter.
of old-fashioned in that way, but
right.
I make no apology for it. Yes, I do. I mean, I like just going out on my front porch in the morning, picking up the newspaper.
508-996-0500. We're going to move some more calls here. Good morning. Thank you for holding.
I have a question for the mayor about the teachers' strike up. Was it Beverly? A couple towns. What's his opinion on? Because they must have a no strike clause in it too. But you never hear of other city workers or towns, whatever that is, like their police or fire striking, or people out in the street crew. So how is it that teachers get a pass? They can use their kids as blackmail, and they have a no strike clause, and then you never hear about any other unions doing it. So I'm going to hang up and just listen to the response.
Yeah, so I think it's a really good question, and
thank you.
It's not so much that there's a clause in the collective bargaining agreements in various places. There may be somewhere, but there's a provision in the state law that forbids public employees from striking, and there have been a number of teachers unions that have done it over the years, and over the last couple of years. In Newton, Massachusetts, most of them they've been up in the Boston area, not around here, at least as far as I know. But up there, there's Newton, Mass, and Beverly, Mass, and Gloucester, and one of the other ones up there, all affluent communities, and relatively speaking, and they've done it because the judges the cities have gone into court, and the judges really haven't enforced the law. That's you get right down to it. They're not supposed to do that, and they've been getting fines, and the judges have been knocking down the fines. It was pretty. It was pretty remarkable in the case of Newton, which had a strike last year. Right, that's a big school district in a very affluent place, and the judge was not firm in telling them go back or I'm going to fine you, and so that they continued to strike, and then after they ran up a fine, the judge cut it down. So that's just emboldens other teacher unions to go out and strike. They shouldn't be doing that. Look,
you're the son of public school teachers.
I'm the son of public school teachers, right? All union members and all that, but you can't strike because the kids, because the law says you can't. But look, there's at the end of the day, kids suffer, so that's no good.
You will know. You may know this already, John. There's not much you don't know about politics, but to get the union endorsement of the teachers union, the last couple of years, they've required people to fill out a survey where they agree to vote to change the state law to allow public employees to strike. So that is the major goal of the MTA, and it's really bad goal.
So teaching is an important profession, and in order to have good teachers, you need to pay them well. I think in general, teachers are not paid as well as they should. That's been sort of an American problem for a long time, but be that as it may, what matters most in schoolhouses across America are frankly not the adults but the children, and that's when you get right down to it, it's their interests that have to be at the center of everybody's attention.
Folks, the mayor here is a pro-business Democrat, and here in New Bedford, and one of the great small businesses we have in New Bedford is Mac Auto Sales, 188 Rivet Street, New Bedford. They repair all makes and models. So if you need to get your car ready for the winter, and I'm sure you do, call Mac Auto Sales and Repair, 508-565-6221. They're open weekdays 9 to 5. They specialize in foreign car repair. Now, if you're looking to get a new-to-you automobile, ask about the quality used cars they have for sale at New Bedford's Mac Auto Sales. We'll take a break. We'll be right back. If you're on hold, stay there. Playlist. I saw them play at the Orpheum a number of years ago now in Boston.
Oh, they were a good band.
They were
I don't know
great
if they're
band.
still around, but they were a good band back in the 90s.
They may be at like county fairs and things like that. We might be able to get them for the feast. Right? We're going to go right to the phones. We've had a number of people holding on patiently. Good morning. Thanks for holding. You're live on the air with the mayor.
Hello.
Yes, you're on the air, sir.
Oh, okay. I'm calling about the old Moss Twist Drill property. Does the city have any? It's been vacant for 25 years or more, and the city's taken really nice care of it. They're keeping it nice, and the lawn's cut, and they keep it litter free. So I was just wondering, are they planning on making a park someday there? There's two blocks that are empty right now. One is got a garden in it, and the other one has a chain link fence around it, which doesn't look too good. But the one that's all manicured looks beautiful. I was just wondering if they were going to do something with that, and that's it.
Yeah, no, it's a good question. It's Morse has been gone for a long time. As you probably know, that site was very contaminated. There are two halves of that site. It's bisected by Pleasant or Purchase right there, I guess. So the half that you're talking about, the western portion, is all cleaned up. That's where there's it's more park-like, and then the other section is still fenced off. The state still has a role in that part, and there's still some monitoring that has to go on there concerning environmental contamination. But ultimately, we'd like to move it forward. I would like. It's probably. I think there's still some more public input that has to happen there before the city moves forward. But there are the possibilities there range from some amount of housing that could go there, as well as maybe some small retail that could go there as well. But I think we'd like to move it forward, especially as we're looking for more opportunities to build housing in the city. That's a good place. So that reminds me, it's been a while since I've checked in about the Morse site. So I'll dig into it. Thank you for bringing it up.
508-996-0500. Thank you for holding. You're live on the air with the mayor.
Hey, how's it going, Chris? And the mayor, how are you doing?
Doing all right.
This is Carlos Felix. I just have my fear is, and with all due respect, your weak stance on the immigration, on the illegal immigration situation, and the possibility that Shane Burgo might be the city council president. I'm afraid that it's going to cause like a magnet, and you say we're not a sanctuary city, but I'm afraid it's going to cause a situation where if we're that welcoming, where the mayor of the city is basically saying, yeah, if they cause a crime, they already did cause a crime when they crossed the border illegally, first of all. And if that's the stance we're going to take, and at the same time, we're funding, their legal battles, and we're creating a situation in Ward 2 where they're going to be protected with our money, with our tax money. Don't you think that's going to cause a magnet where we're going to be receiving even more illegal immigrants? Thank you, and I'll listen.
Thanks, Carlos.
Yeah, I wasn't sure what he was referring to with Ward 2.
The Capitol Theater, they explained in the light that they're going to use that as a legal outpost to prosecute or to protect illegal aliens. It's a big article in the New Bedford Light.
I must have missed that. I'll take a look at that. But yeah, so
Corinne Williams, is that it?
Yeah, I'm not sure what Carlos thinks my position is on it. I mean, I'm probably a few people, and I'm sure I'm the only person in this region who's ever prosecuted anybody for harboring illegal aliens. In fact, I know it.
Okay.
Those cases are rarely brought, but I've brought them. So I'm not.
What year roughly was that, Mayor? Just
that was the case of Albania De Leon, who ran a temp agency and asbestos training course in Methuen, Massachusetts, which is up near the New Hampshire border, and she harbored a lot of illegal aliens. We prosecuted them. We had a number of illegal aliens testify under what are called, I think they're called J visas, right, where you have a witness in a case can stay in the U.S. to testify, and then they have to leave. So, so I don't know. Honestly.
Before Trump.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
That's
this is
my
like
point,
2008, maybe. Yeah, I think that case went to trial in 2008. In any case, I mean, my position is the same as it was before, which is our police department is not going to withhold information from federal law enforcement about whatever, about a person's immigration status or whatever else they're asking for. We freely share information,
right.
Because that's the way, that I think that the law should be enforced. There should be free flows of information among people on a need-to-know basis who are in the business of enforcing it. So that's our position. I mean, I have no idea what Carlos is referring to, but that was our approach when President Trump was president. It was true when President Biden and Obama were presidents. It's all the same.
Mayor, I'm going to ask you every week that you're in here.
I'll just add one other thing. So I mean, it's like questions like that are sort of informed by like discussion about national politics. I run a city. We run a railroad. We make sure that things are done the right way. We do not run our city based on sort of the partisan talking points at the national level. That's not what people expect of me as mayor. I'm affiliated with one party, and like everybody else, usually picks a party or not, or most people do. Many people do, but when it comes to running the city, the interests of the city's residents are what I attempt to vindicate. So
when you go to shop, even though you have options all over the world, you're going to choose locally to shop for your Christmas presents, right? You're going to shop at places like Carter's Clothing and Footwear.
Indeed, I do.
You do shop at Carter's Clothing and Footwear. You know why, John? I know you know this as well as I do. They've been around, owned and operated by the same family for 77 years, since 1947. Great brands at prices can't be beat. There's one located right in your city, right down from your office.
Right down from my office.
Free parking.
You'll see me there when I start my Christmas shopping, I'm sure, around the 22nd or 23rd of
But Mayor,
December.
They have great Black Friday specials, so you might want to head in earlier than that.
Maybe I'll camp out right there on William Street.
55 William Street.
Yeah.
Free parking. Free parking and great, friendly, helpful. Although I think if you're sleeping in the parking lot, they might not be so friendly or helpful. Might be help you to find your way along. But anyway, visit Carter's. Go to Carter's. They're a great store. I love them. And you can invest in. If you don't know what you want, just buy a gift card at Carter's. They'll be around for a lot more time after this. So Carter's Clothing and Footwear. I trust them. The mayor trusts them. Previous mayors have trusted them. Give them a shot if you've never been there before. Take a break. We'll be right back. Of the mayor's playlist. Mayor, you sent a supplemental up to the city council. Talk about what they did and didn't do.
Well, they shot the whole thing down, right? So there was some spending. So the city council cut about $11 million from the budget this summer, and it was a lean budget. They cut a lot out, and sure, we can have differences about what money, how much should be spent on different activities of city government, and that's fine. But of that $11 million, we said, there's 4.5 of it that we kind of need to spend, which because it had to about 3/4 of that, about $3 million, was spending on city health care. The city's reserve, the employer's reserve for city health care has been depleted over the years. And so we needed to make sure that that reserve is healthy enough to ensure that we can cover whatever claims come in from employees.
Or city councils.
Including city councilors who are covered by insurance. So then that left about $1.5 million. About a third of that was for legal expenses that we as a city of 100,000, the city government of 3,400, we were involved in all kinds of legal matters. We get sued for things having to do with environmental contamination to fender benders involving police vehicles, right? So these things happen in the city, but we don't get to choose who sues us. When we get sued, we actually have to have lawyers that represent us in court and with respect to contractual arrangements. You just have to pay that bill, and so the city council said, "Yeah, we don't want to." So, what can I say? It's a little bit of a head scratcher. I mean, they rejected other things that were in the way of cutting off their nose to spite their face. They cut, for instance, they refused to fund additional positions in emergency medical services. Even though those new positions would staff another ambulance, and when that ambulance runs, the city realizes revenue through medical insurance reimbursements. So we'd actually more than pay for those positions. It would turn out to be revenue positive for the city, but they shot it down. So it's those. Honestly, I really don't understand it. $20,000 is another
Zeitarian?
one. So $20,000 to run the water treatment plant that on Hathaway Road that cleans the water from the Sullivan's Ledge Superfund site. The Environmental Protection Agency requires us to do that. There's not like if they don't say, well, if you feel like doing it, we have to do it. They shot that down. So I don't know where the money comes from to fill that gap. It's got to come from somewhere because I don't feel like being sued by the Environmental Protection Agency.
And they will.
Oh, they will. Yeah, in a heartbeat. Yeah.
Right.
And so there's that. The Zeitarian, they approved a contract with the Zeitarian a couple of months ago, a support contract with the Zeitarian in which the city pays the Zeitarian, the organization, to run that building the city owns as a performing arts center. A pretty unremarkable arrangement. The cities across the country have similar arrangements. Providence is probably the closest example. So they signed the contract, but they decided not to fund it. So I guess the theory, the Zeitarian could sue us for not discharging our obligations on that kind. I don't think they're going to do that. But why should it come to that? And how is it? So I'm concerned about the Zeitarian's construction. I'm going to be less than honest with people if I said anything less than that. I'm not sure how we're going to work that out because that was a pretty big cut.
You were out there yesterday with the Friendly Sons of St. Patrick distributing turkeys?
I was, yes, and it was great. They do a great job, 300 turkeys yesterday, and they are one of many organizations that steps up during the holidays. Prince Henry Society, PACE, a whole bunch of them, way too many to name. And I'm really grateful to live in a city where people not only step up during the holidays for folks in need, but actually have a good time doing it.
Yeah.
And so which is pretty cool. So I think that's one of the best parts of Thanksgiving. Everybody sort of gets together and helps people out who would not have a decent Thanksgiving dinner.
Right. No, I agree with you, man. And getting involved in organizations like that is a lot of fun. I mean, it's social as well as charitable. More social than charitable, really.
It is. It speaks to the benefits of joining organizations, right? If you believe in something, other people believe in it.
Who's in charge when you're not in town? It's always a question.
Well, I guess the city council president is in charge. That's technically the...
Really?
Yeah.
Technically?
Yeah, technically. I think that's, I'm just a phone call away. I don't put my phone anywhere but by my side.
Please take your phone with you. As goes New Bedford, goes the region. Anyway, Mayor, thank you. Have a great Thanksgiving,
Yeah,
you and
happy
the family.
Thanksgiving to you, Chris.
Yeah. We will see you next week.
You will.
All right. Appreciate your flexibility. Normally it's here on Wednesday, folks. It's my decision. I have stuff I got to do tomorrow, so the mayor won't be here. But I really appreciate your flexibility, Mayor.
No,
I really
thanks.
do.
Thanks. Happy Thanksgiving to everybody.
All right, folks. Stick around for